Kheoun, and I'm originally from Cambodia. Um, Today's topic that I'm going to be presenting today is about the automatic detection of microorganisms using modified match filter. Okay, so the outline that are going to be covered today, we have seven topics. The first one, the introduction and problem review. The second one, research objective of the study, contributions of the study, literature reviews, research methodology, preliminary results, and the remaining works. Let's start by the first topic, the introduction and the problem review. For diabetic retinopathy, it is the diabetes that damage the blood vessel in the patient that have the diabetic. So it would actually provides a lot of diagnosis after the patient have the diabetic very long time. So here is the retinal image, and we have the blood vessel as shown in the image, and the optic disc. The optic disc, which is the place where the blood vessels combine together and get to the brain. And the fovea, if we compare it to the camera, it's just like the sensor of the camera. So that the brain can capture the image because of the fovea. So if something stands in front of the fovea, so that it can affect the vision of the patient. In the blue boundaries, they are the microorganisms which is the topic of my research. So I try to detect the microorganisms. They are very small in size, and the intensities are very similar to the background, which is very hard to differentiate between the background and the microorganisms. Okay, so here's, I zoom out it's a little bit, I cropped it from the very small microorganism. It would actually look like this in the bad case, and in the good case it actually looks something a little bit clear. This one as well. So if we detect the microorganisms from the very first stage, so that we can prevent the patient from the vision loss, because diabetic retinopathy would make the patients be blind, completely blind. Okay. So here is the last stage of the diabetic retinopathy. Actually, diabetic retinopathy have two main stages, which is NPDR, which is non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, and PDR, proliferative diabetic retinopathies. This is the last stage, PDR. So the patient would actually completely blind. As you can see, the blood in front of the retina, here we call it the pre-retinal hemorrhage. I want to draw your attention about the hemorrhage. The hemorrhage have a lot of sides. It's a blood. So somehow it can have the size which is small as the microorganism, it is really hard to distinguish between the microorganisms and the hemorrhages as well. So the second topic is about the research objective of the study. I want to detect the microorganisms candidates as a first step. The second one, to differentiate between the microorganisms, noises, and hemorrhages, as I mentioned in the previous slide. The last one is to detect true microorganisms from the fundus images automatically. Contributions of the study, being able to extend the research about detects of small objects, because microorganisms are small objects. So I expect that if this research is successful, so that I can extend the research to do about the small objects as well. Being able to apply the proposed methodology to be part of diabetic retinopathy screening procedure in the local hospital. Here's the literature's reviews from the researcher in India. This researcher would actually try to detect the microorganisms by using the fractal analysis and feature extraction techniques. They use the green channel, and after that they try to add more contrast to the green channel, and after that they use the threshold to detect to segment the blood vessels. And after that, the core process of this research is that they use the FD, which is the fractal dimension, to distinguish between the normal image, which the patient have no DR, and the abnormal images, which have something like microorganisms, hemorrhages, and some abnormal symptoms. So if the FD is less than 1.85, so it is a normal one. If it's greater and equals to 1.85, so they try to detect the edge of the blood vessel segmentation, which is contain the microorganisms candidate in that. And after that, they do the morphological to fill the objects that looks like the microorganisms candidates. And after that, they subtract this image to the edge detection image. So finally, they get they take the blood vessels away, so it's contain the picture in here. So, and after that, they use the feature extraction to take all the non-microorganisms away, which is microorganisms are very small, so they take the large objects out. Okay. The next one, this is a paper of a student in Thailand. Actually, this one used three features. They use the intensity, they use the area, and they use the shape, which is in this case is the eccentricity. For the intensity, the color, they have prepared a group of microorganisms, which in this case are 10 microorganisms, which have this different ranges. And after that, they try to compare the input image to the prepared microorganisms, the true microorganism. And after that, if the color is the same, so it actually show, and if it's not, it's actually black out. And after that, they try to get the candidates that have the range between 20 to 200 pixels, which is the area filter. And after that, they try to look at the shape. In this case, eccentricity is what's between 0.3 and 0.89. This one would actually use the match filter as well. So they divided it into two main parts. On the left-hand side, as you see, they try to isolate the microorganisms. They use the same match filter, but just different values of each variable. So on the left-hand side, they try to isolate the microorganisms. On the right-hand side, they try to isolate the blood vessels. And after that, they subtract these two images together to take away the blood vessels, so that they contain just only the microorganisms. Here comes to my research methodology. In the pre-processing step, I use the green channel, and I want to blur the image by using the Gaussian filter, and after that, adding more contrast by using contrast-limited adaptive histogram equalization. And after that, the main process of my research is that it is the rotated match filter. In this case, the main one is 135-degree rotated match filter. And after that, using this as the input to the other three rotated match filter, which is 15 degrees, 103-degree rotated match filter, and also 150 rotated match filter. And after that, I try to combine the three images together to get all the candidates, but combining them together, making more noise to the image. So I try to erase the noises by using the area-based noise remover. So finally, I get the result of my proposed method. Here is the first step, RGB input image. As you can see, the microorganisms contained in the blue boundaries, which I actually wrote a code to plot the microorganisms from the ground truth, which is available from the data set. The green channel, here's the reason why the green channel is actually better than the other two, because the red one is actually too bright, the blue one is actually too dark, so we choose the green channels that can show the red lesions, microorganisms, hemorrhages, blood vessels clearly than the other two. Next one, I want to blur the images a little bit because to add more contrast in the next step, it adds more noises to the image. So to avoid adding more noises, by adding more contrast, I need to blur the images a little bit by using Gaussian filter. And after that, I add more contrast to the image so that the red lesions like microorganisms, hemorrhages, and also blood vessels occur quite clearly. Here's the rotated match filter. Okay, so the match filter is a technique of creating a filter by calculating the value of every index in the filter using the index and the trigonometric function. So actually, the equation number 5 is the final kernel of the match filter. Okay? So to calculate the k, to calculate this one, they use the index. Actually, it is the exponential by using the index of the kernel, which is in this case it can be 1, 1, 1, 2, or something like that, and the trigonometric function. So the value in this filter, it actually vary to the angle that would be varied to any angle from 1 degree to 360. And by the experimental, I actually write a code and rotate it 360 degrees, and I observed that there are only 5 shapes of the rotated match filter, which is in this case, it's over here. The square one and they try to rotate. What I want to draw your attention here is that this shape would actually mean something to me, and there's the reason in the next slide. Okay, so I use 135 rotated match filter. This image I cropped it from the kernel that is already calculated. And I plot it into the 3D view, so you can see that on your on the left hand side it actually the positive values. On the right hand side it actually has the negative value, which is in this case I would like to use this filter to demonstrate for you to see in the next slide. So the dark red color here represents the positive value. The black here and the gray here would actually represent the negative value, but this one is the positive value that a little bit reached to 0. Here's the image that the same microorganisms. This is one microorganisms. I cropped this one from the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization image. This is the same microorganism, and after that I want to use my filter to demonstrate you that why this shape and why 135. Okay, so in this case, if the filter is here, it would actually the input image, actually this side have the high intensity than this side, so it would create the high intensity for the output image as well. this is also in the same thing, but the input image on the left-hand side and the right-hand side actually kind of have the similar or equals to each other, and they would actually make a kind of border to these two objects. But actually, this is one object. And after that, on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side would actually have the lower intensity, and the right-hand side here would have a little bit higher intensity. So, but the filter on this side have the high intensity. So it would actually drop down the value of the output image. Okay, so here is the result of 135 rotated match filter. It would actually, it is a 2D that looks like a 3D image. So the microorganisms are enhanced a lot more clear that if we compare to the first stage that we got from the RGB, which is maybe we cannot see the microorganisms. And after that, I use this image, the 135, to be the inputs of the other three. Okay, to be the input of the other three, which is in this case 15-degree, 103 rotated mesh filter, and 150 rotated mesh filter. 15 rotated mesh filter would actually show the part of the bright side. The part of the bright sides of the microorganisms, and 103, 150 would actually show the black side, or the dark side of the microorganisms. And after that, I combine those three images together, and we get this kind of messy image. But I can observe that there are a lot of hemorrhages, there are a lot of noises, but actually we get a lot of microorganisms candidates too. So after this one, I try to eliminate the noises by using the area-based noise removing, and I get this final image of mine. So the result, the data set I use is that I use the 89 color fundus images from a downloadable database, diabetic retinopathy DB1, and the proposed method provide quite high amount of microorganisms candidates. 72% of all the true microorganisms from the 89 images of the data set compared to the ground truth. So my remaining works is that I want to differentiate between the microorganisms and the hemorrhages, and I've got the recommendation from my co-advisor, Ajahn Anupon, to see the blood analysis.
ไม่ใช่บอมในสิวันนั้นบอกเป็น scale space
ไม่ใช่บอก
บอก
Go. Okay. And the last step, which is the final step of my master work, is that to detect the true microorganisms from the fundus images automatically. Okay, so that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much.